Rahul, over to you from here. You have the challenge to manage this huge pipeline for the next 50 minutes. And we would also like to keep 10 minutes to questions. So over to you from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Shriyal. I think the toughest job is being done by you and the easiest job is being handed over to me. So I don't know how I'm going to drive it, but thank you very much, the entire team for the summit who has put up this show, and a fantastic panel. I mean, the kind of width, the depth which we have. I mean, I'm nervous, but I'm going to do my best to get the best out of these industry experts on that. So without much ado, straight to the point, my first question to Anuja.
Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Can everyone hear Anuja? Yes. Perfect. So Anuja, it's a tough balance you have to handle. On the one side, you have the entire government bodies to handle in terms of the policies, the future plans, and their roadmap for future growth. On the other side, you have the developers, the architects, who have their practical problems, their growth path, etc. On that. At CTBUH, how do you balance these together, ensuring that the vertical development for the city is intact?
Okay, so I'll just spend a minute on what CTBUH is all about. It's a Council on Tall Building and Urban Habitat. It's a Chicago-based organization, and I'm one of the director of India chapter. So if I have to talk about CTBUH, first of all, they define tall building, though they call it as a tall building, but the climate change has got a great amount of realization. And it's a urban density and a vertical growth, which needs an immense amount of rethinking. There is need of a code change, there is need of a policy change, and through the knowledge sessions, through the research papers, there's a lot of discussions which happen across the globe. Every year we have our international conference, and then we have a regional conference, and every month we organize the seminars where we have this kind of interactive sessions, and we invite all these city experts and the bureaucrats and developers and architects. Structural consultant, we have signed MOU with GCCA, so we are working a lot on the carbon. We have signed MOU with IGBC, ISHRI, ASHRI, FSAI. So when we talk about the entire city and the climate change and the urban density, everything has to come together and thought about when we talk about a tall building. So tall building cannot be thought about in isolation, and that's how CTBUH is working on the global platform.
Interesting. And has there been any policies, any construction framework, or is there any guideline which you as a body has managed to influence to have a win-win between both the parties?
I think a lot of research all the core team members are doing on the carbon, as well as on the TOD policies. We had a huge seminar. And after that, the policies implementation had taken a little bit of speed and all that. So I would say that rather than the direct interaction with the bodies, we gather people who are like-minded. And those like-minded people are trying to thrive for the change in the policies. And I think we will keep working in that direction to create a sort of a platform where people can come together, and we make them available, because we are a non-profit organization. So we work through the sponsorships, and we work around to get the people together. And we are blessed to have best of the best people who use our platform. So they are all welcome.
Fantastic. Thanks for the kind words. Nishant, you have been, everybody saw the kind of pedigree which you bring onto the table with the kind of past experience which you have had. Specific to tall structures, vertical building, how do you balance the entire density, livability? Horizontal, you have a space liberty, wherein whether it is amenities, whether it is the entire unit plan, floor plans, etc., there is no restrictions. The moment equation changes when it goes vertical. How do you balance it out? what are the best practices or guidelines which you follow?
So, the bylaws and the policies that we have are not really defined for the need, the FSI that has come into our cities. Going back to what she was saying about policy changes, I think that is the core fundamental thing that we need today, because any urban policy takes over a decade to be seen. So if there is a law that would change today, we are going to see it after 2 governments would change, and then we are going to see the law. So something that started in the bylaws that were written in 2012, and we see the buildings today without balcony, without projections, without anything in the form of crown, or is a result of the bylaws that were passed back then. And all these buildings which have take 7 to 8 years, and this is what we see. So I think the discussions need to convert into some good regulations. Things are changing. But coming back to your question, yes, FSI is gone over the roof. So earlier it used to be 1.33 and then something you'll buy some TDR and everything. Now, the FSI would be 7 or 8 with cluster redevelopment, with TOD, and then the real, the actual FSI would be over 16 and 17, up to 22 on few plots that we are building. Then what does that mean? So if you have a certain plot that even if all habitats of those, that tower come down on the podium or the ground or the terrace, they can't even, sort of hug each other and stand. That is the kind of density we are talking about. I mean, of course, you play dahi handi, but you can't be playing dahi handi every day, right? So what does that mean? You have to give back ground to the people, which means that the only way you can do it is, sort of create tiered amenities or tiered social spaces. And that would start from ground. I mean, we're not great, we don't propagate podiums, but I think that's the reality that, one needs to make podiums now, but how you do it, that is different. But then, create space on podium, then create some amenity flows, create something on terrace. So I think you have to, sort of from what could have been just one simple space, you have to, sort of break it down and multiply it on the same land. So I think that is one way of how we deal with social spaces for a high dense project. Then coming to the unit design or anything, again, from one side we are restricted by bylaws that, you can do this, you can do that. But then we are restricted by, our dear client would say that they need a certain ticket size, that you can't be, or you'll say, as advisor, that, okay, it is 1200 square feet, 1210 won't, really. So then, and you're doing a high rise. Then Vastu would come in, then the rules wherein you need the kitchen and the toilet would come in, and everything put together. So I think it's an exciting thing, but I think best ideas come out of these adverse situations, and as I think this race, we are able to deal with it very nicely. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love your point when you talked about the tiered utilities or tiered amenities, which gives a balance of having an experience, whoever is going to live on that. Moving on to Yashodhan, you are being there, a stalwart with Vadhva, very iconic structure we have seen, we are enjoying, and it stands tall to give the entire style as far as the skyline of Mumbai is concerned. The passion or the artist comes out as an architect that I need to have this style, etc. But on the other side, there is a utility or there is a practicality. How does that get balanced at your end?
Okay, hi Rahul. Hello everyone. So if you would have asked me this question way back in 2012, is when I switched from design architect to the developer's architect, the answer would have been much different. But having spent like almost more than 10, 12 years with the group, I think there's a lot more maturity which has come in terms of looking at the design little dispassionately. Now, when we say innovative design, when we say sustainable design, and the acceptance to the market. Now, when you're talking about super tall structures, Nishant touched base on a very critical point that though at a gross plot level, the FAR may sound like 6, 7, 8, but on the net plot, having given the setback, having given the reservation, so on and so forth, we're actually in the tune of 15. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. So when you're talking about these super tall structures, the whole definition of iconic is changing. That we need to understand. Iconic no longer is purely the aesthetics of the building. Iconic means how efficient the design is, how different aspects of the living conditions are being taken care of. Because let me deep dive a bit into this, that when any design starts or any project starts in the entire tenure, you're talking about a 150 or a 180 meter tall building, it's easily a 48 months or a 60 months kind of a tenure. So you see different stages of the project. The most being critical is the conceptualization, then the budgeting, the actual construction, the virtual completion, the fit outs, and then the the occupation, the people start living. That is where the crux of the building is going to come out. And in this entire 5 years, I think Thomas's presentation touched base on different elements of the design, whether it is architecture, structure, MEP, green initiatives, responsive facade, so on and so forth. So every expert tries to bring a value on the table. It's no more a day that it's only the layout which we talks about, but it's how the building is oriented. We do multiple simulations. We do daylight simulations, we study wind patterns, we study thermal simulations. The idea is your building needs to be sustainable. The building needs to function in a particular manner once it is completed. And if all these aspects are touched base rightly, if there is enough efficiency which is built in the design, then the building is going to have a longevity. It's going to have a substantial life cycle. And that is where, at the end of the day, which our group's philosophy is, the client needs to be comfortable at the end of the day. And that's what we feel the whole iconic aspect of the design lies into, more than the form or the other aspects which are seen superficially. So I think as a developer's architect, the intent is to push the consultants, because they come with certain vision, and we know what is to be served to our clienteles. So, we take their help, we try and tell them that this is how, because it's a collaborative work at the end of the day. There are multiple disciplinary people who are there. So we ensure that the vision which is there, which is laid down on day one, is conceptualized, is evolved, is given a touch of a science. It can't be purely a conceptualization. There has to be a lot of science. There has to be a lot of numbers which needs to be evaluated, because at the end of the day, it's a business for us. So having gone through these series of sequences, I think what you deliver is what I feel honestly now as an architect, that it's iconic.
Interesting. I think you explained the entire journey, how it has evolved over a period of time. I'm tempted to ask one more question to you and Nishant, is that, decades back, there were tall buildings. Then there were tall structures. Have you seen a transition, keeping in mind that every developer is now establishing themselves as a brand, and any structure is a lifetime branding opportunity which comes across? Do you see that now developers are more conscious in having their presence, their name as a part of their structure, which is probably they would be giving back to the city as their presence or as their footprint for the city?
No, definitely. See, we believe that every design has to be responsive, because that's what you give back to the community. And the biggest success, if you ask me, is the client's testimony. If client is happy, then you actually done your job. you know. And while you do that, like every project has its own microclimate. How are you maintaining that? You know, a couple of days back, we just been doing a bit of a research on water-cooled VRVs. Now, it's something which is very common in commercial project, but in residential projects, say 150-meter tall buildings, it will create a massive heat stack because, you know, the way they are stacked on top of each other, the wind pattern, getting the hot air inside, and what you are emitting in the nature, you know, it's not sustainable. There is something which the city offers you. There's something which the civic bodies offer you in terms of infrastructure, but there is something which you need to generate out of your project itself. And that's what I think the collaboration between you as a responsible developer and the city which we have to offer each other.
Fantastic. Nishant, any points?
Yeah, so I think definitely as much as we may say that, you know, we want to do things in a certain way, but there is that little child and there is a little, you know, ambition, I would say, as architects or as developers, the race to be the tallest. And you know, it's interesting that I'm doing 3 projects right now, over 300 meters, all fighting within each other to be the tallest. But there are, you know, 7 more projects, 7 to, I think there are 12 which have got approval over 300 meters. And
they want the best from you.
So everybody is thinking that they are the tallest, but, you know, but there is somebody else who's doing the tallest and all. But, you know, there's that little, but I think that's on the lighter side. But I think what they are giving back to the city is the silhouette that they are creating. And any skyline or any city is known by its silhouette. And if there is a shot, you understand, yes, this is New York, yes, this is San Francisco, yes, this is Hong Kong, yes, this is London. And that is done by those, you know, private developers. And I think, and it is very much needed. So I think.
So I mean, developers are conscious, and it is the new normal wherein they would want to invest as the iconic structure.
So I think more than iconic and, you know, sustainability, we talk at length on, you know, I'm little against the whole bandwagon of sustainability. I mean, personally, in the sense that, you know, sustainability has pillars of environment, social, and economics. And by West, we are too, that everybody is just talking about environment, but, you know, just by redesigning our buildings as designers, as architects, as structural engineers, we can bring down, like he explained, by 25%. So just imagine the, you know, the carbon footprint, you know, we can reduce. So I think it has to go to the core of design. And if one goes into the core of design, it is not just the high performance glass you're using or the, you know, all the, you know, for the heck of it, but I think it goes to the core design of the basic orientation, to the very basics which you will feel that, you know, really are not to be talked about, but I think it's in the very elementary things.
Fantastic. Good point. Anirudh bhai, I mean, you hold the kitchen of the restaurant, wherein the majority of the recipes get concluded. So, I mean, the entire MEP aspect, the entire sewage aspect, the water supply, and so on and so forth, which comes across. How easy, how difficult it has been and it is now to balance those aspects as a part of the entire construction management?
Hi Rahul. Hi everyone. Coming to see, when you talk about tall building, the gamut of MEP is changing completely and drastically. Because today, all these tall buildings, you will see, you will be astonished to find they are energy guzzlers, you know. One tall building, say 50-story and above, will be consuming power to the tune of 1 megawatt. So you can imagine that if you are doing a building of 6 such tall building in a cluster, your power demand will be around 6 to 7 megawatt. So you have to have a large focus when you design these buildings, how to optimize these power guzzlers to the maximum extent. So we have been working with various architects. I had worked with Anuja also in my previous projects. So much focus is on to embed passive design, how to reduce solar heat gain, you can imagine that much of build mass is facing towards south or west. That can be, you know, catastrophic in terms of energy consumption. So passive design aspect must be taken care of in totality, sun path analysis, wind flow analysis, so that you can reduce your heat gain to the entire tower. Then a lot of new practices in terms of sewage treatment plants like MBR technology, which occupies less space, optimum space requirement is there. Similarly, he was mentioning about water-cooled VRFs. So larger focus, now already people have started using inverter type ACs, but I would suggest that if there can be a focus on replacing them with VRF, that will definitely help to reduce heat load of those buildings, because aircon load is out of that, all energy guzzling aircon load consumes almost 60%. Then focus should be more on life cycle cost of the project, because these towers consume a lot of energy during their operation phase. So total life cycle cost of the project, how to optimize, if we focus on that, you will definitely gain lot of design insights while designing them. And you may find in very few buildings these heat pumps and have been incorporated. Try to incorporate them as much as possible. Lifts are having, with all these new energy saving devices, you know, regenerative brakings, VFD drives, we must incorporate them, all these new features, because elevators also in these high-rise towers consume a lot of power. So these are the methods we must adopt while designing tall structures in terms of MEP. Then in terms, I will just add, for maintenance, the BMS system will help you a lot to optimize. Digital twins, try to utilize them for your maintenance purposes, so that you can reduce the expenditure on operational cost.
Fantastic. This is almost like a master class which you have done. Fantastic. Thank you. Mahesh bhai, my question is the cost, is the availability of material, is the workforce or the talent which comes across, there is always a shortage on that. How you have been witnessing, what are your inputs in terms of the supply chain, the workforce? Are we geared up? Is there any gap for that? And the overall approach on balancing that?
Thank you, Rahul. Contractor is the first one to enter at site and last one to leave. And you know, because architect, I always keep telling they're truly an artist, because they think about it, a lot of good designs, you know, there's a aesthetic point of view. But today, the subject is what we are discussing, the high rise. When we talk about, of course, most of the metro cities, I think you can't produce the more land, because whatever their population is increasing, demand is still there. So you have no option but to go because vertical. There, as rightly my friend said, because FSI is increasing, because government also, they need their revenue, they are trying to find out for, because, you know, sources of whichever the way to help society to, you know, and get their income also. But in the process, what I have seen the greatest change, when we used to see the small bungalow, we used to admire that. People used to stand and, wow, what a design. From that, we've seen 10-story building, 15-story building, 20 up to say 20 also. Again, because I've seen architect, Hafiz contractor, so and so. They've been known for, because this is Hafiz's building. Adding a lot of those artistic, you know, frills and those kind of, you know, aesthetic aspect. Where, because you used to take a photograph, kya building hai? But now, because as a contractor, first of all, because whenever, because we are involved into the, most of the developers when we are working with them, because fortunately they realize what it takes to build this kind of structure. Time is money for everybody. Land prices have hit through the roof. So when they put that kind of money, because they can't afford to, because waste their time in terms of building that kind of structure. When we're talking 50 plus, nowadays nothing below 50 because 50 has become common. उसके ऊपर तो because okay because हो जाता है होना ही है. So when challenge is deliverables because your investors are involved, your money is there, and people who have booked, they can't wait because I've seen some buildings gets constructed 10 years, 12 years, because so many challenges. But now things are drastically changing because we know most of the buildings, because we say clean line buildings, straight line, but because because you all you element, and because even methodology is changing. Because methodology, where we talk monolithic structure. So you need to have the complete like factory made, but in the air. So those kind of changes are there, challenges are there, but yes, as long as there is a clarity with the developer, as long as there is a clarity in terms of your design aspects, your permission aspects, and because if you have the money support, we have been doing, because I'm proud to share here that because with the name developer, L&T Reality, because we constructed a 70-story tower and delivered the complete structure in 28 months. So where we used to talk about slab, 30 दिन में तो slab होता है. Because, and we should feel good about it. Don't worry, sir, because 30 दिन में आराम से एक slab कर देंगे. Now 30 दिन में 4 slab हो रहे हैं. करना ही पड़ेगा. Otherwise, because when we'll complete that 70-story building in which year? And so, point is that, of course, because we need, because good design, good aspect, sustainability, because and whichever the way we'll say, but then things are changing drastically. We're seeing the importance of a city like Mumbai, however you want to control, because you just cannot control, this pollution will be there, because building after every corner you find because something happening, there is no place. There is a solution that, of course, because if we go the, say, prefab buildings, or if we go the steel buildings, we are still far away with a lot of technology available, because I have traveled best of the countries in the world, including Japan, where they talk about all steel structures. But to do it here, I think still it will take time. Still people are, costs, benefits, those kind of aspects. But we come a long way, I must say, because I myself seen, because as I said, doing buildings in 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, now in one year we are talking with any structure. So good change, and this is the only solution to go vertical. We have no other option. Whether all metro cities probably they are heading towards it. Bangalore, because we have been working a lot. Bangalore, because I used to see, because 10 years back, because still people used to say that because we love bungalows. But abhi bungalow chahe to go out of the Bangalore and bungalow karo is within the city, again vertical. So whenever there are challenges, there is a solution. And I think we have best of the architects, best of the people, because as rightly, because it is very good panel where, because we are talking about one-stop solution of high-rise here. Everybody is, because MEP is there, because all architects, developer is there. So we know what challenges we are facing. But as I said, because everybody will do everything on the drawing board or presentation, it looks good, but then eventually we bring into reality. And I'm happy that because we've been also learning in the process. And most important when we talk high-rise, safety, life of the people is very, very important. And more than life of the people who are working, now life of the surrounding. Because next door is some building is there. Next door people are playing, kids are playing, people are moving, walking. So safety aspect has become part of each and every building. And we've come a long way, I must say. A lot of modular system we are using in the most of the buildings. Conventional is almost gone. No carpenter, fitter, cart, could, nothing. Because it's like Lego system. Come, set the thing, and then keep moving. So challenge is only because clarity. If the clarity is there, I think we as a country, and because not only we, because a lot of contractors are now coming up also and understanding the importance of it. So we are there to, I think, support this kind of challenge and face the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. I love your point is that contractor is the first one to enter. and last one to leave. And I think I mean, all the contractors who have this challenge are up for that, and you are being demonstrating that. I'll ask one more question, because the way you talked about conventional methods to newer and newer expectations, from 3 slabs to 4 slabs, the turnaround times are getting faster, the delivery times is getting much more quicker and squeezier on that. My question to Mahesh bhai, you and for Babat sir is that how technology has evolved over a period of time. Is there any play of AI as a buzzword for the entire construction management? Is there any cost-effective method which you had witnessed in the last decade or so, which you see are extremely useful and probably become a new normal for future?
Yes, I think very pertinent question, because how do we cope up with this kind of challenge as a even contractor also? So technology, of course, is playing a very big role here again. I think 2 weeks back only, Thomas and company, because we were together, and we were talking about, because subject was this only, I was one of the panelists, and I, because emphatically went on telling that each developer must understand, each contractor has to also adopt, because we started with the AutoCAD, because you know how from drawing board to AutoCAD to now, because Revit was there, now BIM we are talking. So this technology is very, very important, not only from the point of view of ease of doing construction, but then ease of understanding the whole building, you know, because from all aspects. So I've been requesting most of the client, please use the BIM, because which will bring the greatest level clarity from the day one, not only civil, but from all the because you know aspects of the building. So we have great clarity. We can talk about the cost clarity. We can talk about the timing also, because everything can be because made part of it. And then true sense, because if we start using technology, 100% it is going to help. That is from the design aspect point of view. When you come to the work point of view, because as I said, from conventional method, because most of the buildings we are talking aluminum formwork, and we insist for the monolithic structure, where because each floor is literally getting cast, and because you are lifting it, so it saves the time. It saves, because everything is like integrated, because you are conduiting, your pipes, because your plumbing, everything, even kitchen lines. So you are literally constructing the building floor in the factory. So that eases the pressure of, because timeline also. And modular formwork again, because I have invested huge into the German formwork, Spanish formwork, where they come up with it's called panel system, the droplet system. So which again eases pressure of, because there's construction activities. So good, I think we all live and learn, as we say, and we're learning, and there's a lot
perfect.
to learn. Yeah, I know. Well, there is always scope for, because we feel we've done the best, but next time when we're doing while working only, we realize, oh, this is not the ultimate, because we need to still improve. Fantastic. So that is the way to grow.
Anything, sir?
Yeah, just to add what Maheshji has just said, as BIM and 3D designing has been evolving the construction space and GFC space to a larger extent. But apart from that, I have recently seen that 3D printing, which is also likely to revolutionize this construction industry in coming 5 years. Apart from that, robotic painting and robotic plastering has also been started. We at Tata Realty had already done a demo in Goa project for this kind of initiatives. So this is helping a lot. Drone technology is also helping to monitor the construction progresses. For levels also, to validate the levels what we get from surveyor, we have used drone technologies. So these are the areas where definitely AI is helping us. Apart from that, I have seen a good recent change, which is modularity in MEP design. Now you can get skid-mounted pump sets. You can order directly, so all hassles of welding, fitting at site is slowly reducing. So precast drains have been, most of the developers are using. So these kind of modular design are coming into our construction, which is also helping us to reduce the construction time.
Got it. Interesting. I think I'm one of the personal witnessed the Goa project. So thank you for this fantastic work which had happened. Amit, I mean, such an injustice. Sustainability is one panel discussion altogether. I mean, these topics on one side and then the sustainability on the other side. I mean, I would want to have your views is how ready we are as compared to international standards. How is our adoption? How is our adoption in India when it comes to sustainable building, sustainable living as a part of the entire build process from the developer side?
First of all, thank you for considering MEP and sustainability as a part of this panel. I think I was just closely watching the earlier presentations, and most of the things are already said. I go back to the slide of Malaji. She has put a triangle, and that triangles tell you everything, the design process. If I have to simplify the triangle, lean, mean, and then green. Don't jump into the green first. You start designing the things which are lean. So I'm representing engineering fertility, so we are good in creating the problems and solving. So I always tell that instead of creating the problems, start from your design, which will be always helpful, so that you are not the solver, right? The things solution what you are giving will give you the solutions. Now, for the high rise, I think we were discussing and debating about these buildings brings a challenge in terms of infrastructure and all. But I always take this as an opportunity. Opportunity in the sense, if you really see, 1 meter drop of high-rise building gives you a 0.1 bar pressure. And that gives immense opportunity for your water supply systems, your fire protections. Though we are pumping, the reliability is very high when it comes to the reduction. I think Thomas was already implementing. He has given a couple of slides on the orientation and all. We are in a tropical climate, hot and humid. And Singapore is a classic example. And it's also a vertical city like Mumbai. If you see, those buildings are designed in such a way, which we are also discussing and debating. But when it comes to a real standardization, couple of things has to be very clear, that your orientation of the building, which should suit your climate, it has to be there. Form of the building. When you do the microclimatic study with all the softwares and things are available, it gives you an immense opportunity, to take the things of the nature and integrate into your building. So that what I'm trying to say is, if you use the resources and sustainability keep at the front, try to minimize the resources itself at first place, and then you start on a mean and green study, and that's the answer for it. And I think I was hearing about 1 or 2 megawatt one tall building, and yes, it's right at the one extent, but if you have to really reduce that one load, and this is the approach.
I'll extend one more question, Amit, if you're okay. Is that how is the adoption, and when you talk about these guidelines which you're talking about, how is being getting adopted for commercial developments versus residential? Is it at par? You see a difference between both the structures?
See, commercial, you don't have a choice, because when commercial goes into the leasing, and the things, right? Most of the investor who comes or end clients are going to ask tough questions. And all iconic buildings, you don't have a choice. But residential, certain things, sometimes we see that inspiration. I'm sorry, my client colleagues are also here, but sometimes it's all depend upon the sellability of that. Because residential buildings per se are handed over. Like the mindset is that we are going to hand over. So the cost comes, become a major criteria. Having said that, when it comes to high rise, it is to the extent, like whatever we have seen the journey, like the high rise journey started for Mumbai in 2010 with the World Towers design. And that time it was really, because that World Tower, I recollect, it was a 500-meter stalled structure. Unfortunately, it got only sanction up to 260 meter, and now 310. So the journey is continuous, but the dust is settled.
right? So if you see those world towers, which is primarily residential buildings, those buildings were designed in a hotel concept where the core was inside and everything was external. But then we learned, right, including as an entire team. And then again, we came back to Indian climatic conditions where you need to have a kitchens external, not inside and all. So those things are there. But to answer your question, commercial is a simple game. Residential is there, but not yet.
Not yet. Got it. Varun, this globalization, availability of information.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah.
So Varun, this globalization, availability of information, a lot of exposure of international structures, multi-visits that happen to these cities, etc. We have so many international references, whether it is New York, whether it is Singapore, whether it is Hong Kong. How much, as compared to these cities in Mumbai, when the demand is to have those structures iconic in terms of the look and feel, I'm sure it will be tough for designing aspect and to delivery aspect of these structures are concerned. What guidelines, what are the formats in which you consult your clients so that they are more cost effective, considering that Mumbai is having a humid weather? How do you balance the design aspect of being a star creation to a more viable options, considering the overall environment is concerned?
See, from the environment point of view, I can say that the concrete can be used, we can use 50% of the replacement in concrete for the cementitious material, where we can use GGBS or fly ash up to the tune of 50%, which considerably reduces the carbon emission. So this is one aspect in terms of the environment is concerned. Other thing is that we can also use composite structures, even though they are 30 to 40% more expensive than RCC frames, but of course they impart lesser load, and it has almost 50% as compared to the carbon emission as compared to concrete. So this is one aspect. Iconic structures, I would like to say, like we were quite like, if you let us take a classic example of Burj Khalifa. Burj Khalifa building, if you see, is an impact of wind tunnel analysis, which has been carried out, and structural consultants, architects have sat together and designed the building in such a way that the curves and the curvature develop a proper aerodynamic model which actually withstands the wind forces. So that's how a wonderful building is at place. I can speak about my own project in Powai, where architect Hafiz Contractor has designed an iconic building in which there were 4 columns. Okay, there are 4 columns at a height of 50 meters, and there is a girder beam of 5 meters. Above that, there are 22 stories of guest floor. Okay, this is a typical floating structure. Now, anybody can imagine that a column should be a square column or a circular column. Here, we sat together with architect office contractors team and sir also, and the columns designed are semicircular design. So if you see, if you're traveling around Kanjurmarg, and if you see on the left-hand side of Gandhinagar, there is a tall building which is standing. Unfortunately, it did not take off because iconic buildings require a lot of funding and a lot of issues come up. So these columns, semicircular columns, if you look at structurally, then they are helping us in terms of giving us the advantage of moment of inertia. And these circular columns are going up at the guest floor level and converting into shear walls. The upper floors are basically 2 capsules hold together, and those 2 capsules, the columns move up, the solid columns turn into a shear wall. So this is all design that is, this is like an international design that has come into picture. And not just that, the shear walls also have an opening of elliptical windows, which is not at an angle of like 0 degrees or 90 degrees, it is an axis. So this is a classic example of how iconic buildings can, be designed considering all these, when we all sit together and do brainstorming.
Got it. Interesting. Interesting. So one common question to if anybody wants to pick it up, or you want to pick it up, absolutely fine. As compared to the international cities which we have, which is being defined the skyline, and Nishan, you talked about, you see the structure and see this is the city. This is New York, this is Singapore, this is Raffles, and so forth, which is coming across. as compared to those cities who is being there for decades and decades, where do you see Mumbai as a skyline as compared to those cities? Are we there yet, or is there a long way, or we can achieve it like in few years or something? Anyone? Yeah.
Give us 15 years, we'll be better than all of them.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
But one caution, because very, very important that because most of those cities what we have seen, they've been very well planned in terms of their all traffic movements, their sewer system, everything. What is happening in Mumbai, because being part of it, I'm saying, because I represent few of the government association, organization, but then these kind of forums, of course, because everybody is coming, they're investing their time, because, a good audience there, because patiently sitting. We need to create some sort of, my request to the, through you also, you being a moderator, create some sort of white paper you call, whatever you call, report, and we must represent to the government saying that, please bring some sort of sanctity, clarity, because a building, same plot, you go to 20 level, somebody going to 50 level, somebody is 70 level, because it all depends on, because my connections, my muscle power, my ability, this can't go like that. Then what are we going to create? So, because if there is a facility available, but then first look at the tomorrow, see 20, 30 years down the line, we all may not be there, but then our kids, whether they'll be able to come down, as you rightly said, oh, garba kya dahi anda, because I mean, how it is going to be possible? So some norms, because they have to be really stringent, because fine, you give as much FSI, but then think how tomorrow generation, they are going to be coming down, even getting out your own car will be challenging. I mean, because this is very, very, very important point. And of course, we all want, because best of the building, best of the structure, we all take pride that, yes, we are competing with the whole world. But I think this aspect, I think, grossly missing, if you ask me, in few forums, in few occasions, with authorities I've been talking, but then authorities also, unfortunately, by the time they are thinking seriously, somebody else is coming there. So be it be the your administrative people, or will be the politicians. So this chakravyuh chalte rahega and buildings to hote rahenge. Aisa situation hai. We need to bring some sort of solution to that.
And a brilliant point. I think, Anuja, you may want to put in some light on that.
Yeah, so I completely agree with you, and I really feel that rather than a tall, first of all, marketing team should stop asking for that 3 inches and 6 inches offset, and I typically call it as a Nagin dance, and we must stop that. Second is that there has to be an urban reform. It's not about building my own tower, but how we are connecting the city, entire city. So that integrated approach is completely missing in Mumbai city. It's not
Very
just
well
by painting the bridges and putting some weird lights below the bridges, we are connecting. So, and typically situation is such that we have single plot owners. It's not like other government where the land is owned by the government. And that's where you can see those super connectivity and the connections. And I think that's what the iconic. Iconic is not about being tall. Iconic is about how urban we are connected. And that is where the urban reform has to happen. Second most important part, something starts with me. How can I reduce the number of car parks? Okay. And that is another thing, because later on, after 15 years, we have to rethink about what we are going to do with those basements and the car parking structures. So are we building too much? And how we can reuse, I mean adaptive reuse, repositioning is also needs to be thought about. So what we have created today, that nuisance value we are going to suffer in future. And this is where the thought process has to happen. And then I agree with Nishant that we can be 4 steps ahead. Because not necessarily I need to go 400 meter tall. No, I may have to be only 70 meters. But what my city is thriving on and how we are going to survive, because we are different than the other world. Okay. And that's how it should be holistic and customized to our need.
Very well said. I think it's the overall ecosystem. Yes, you want to add any point?
Yeah, hi. So I'll take up 2 points. One, what Nishant mentioned. Definitely, in next couple of years, we'll be there on the top. No doubt that architecture contributes to the city's skyline. But I completely second Anuja's opinion here that urban reform, the city is always perceived at two perspectives. First is when you see the city from a drone, so it defines a particular skyline. But a city is also perceived by the pedestrians who walk on the city. I mean, when we say Manhattan, you see the skyline, you could figure out that's Empire State, that's the earlier World Tower, so on and so forth. But when you walk on the streets of Manhattan, the building sits on the edge. That's the urban design guideline. Also, it is human. I mean, when you walk on those streets, you don't see entire Empire State in one go because it keeps stepping back. The reason is, at a given scale of a human walking on the street, you could only perceive to a particular height. Rest of the height actually contributes to the city. The guy walking on the street is not seeing that. That's what the sensitivity needs to be. So so now the response is more as an urban designer than an architect. So you need to have pressings which needs to be identified. I mean, BKC is a classic example where, it's all started with diamond bores, but then the design consultancy was asked to do the entire urban design project. So if you can identify the pressings, and while you are offering maybe 8-10 FAR, what that particular project can contribute to the public domain and the public realm is something which is very important.
Got it.
Having done that, we will contribute to the both. As in developer, it's a responsive design. Some time back, we were talking about sustainability, what it is. It's not only about green initiatives. You need to offer something to the city, is what I feel.
Also, I also think that there has to be complete thought process about the green corridor. And when we talk about net zero water, it's very difficult. But can we look at a net zero water by looking at the existing water bodies? And that has to be, like we have wards, why can't we think about those lakes or the ponds or even the river? When I go across the globe and when I go to Europe and I see the waterfront, I feel that it's possible in Mumbai. Why it's not happening? And that's where the city is going to take a upturn. And this is how we have to look at the city. And the high-rise and tall. That's how we'll release the ground space and we'll go tall. But again, then we have a civil aviation restriction. So we have to best suit to create a urban reform.
Fantastic.
I will just add.
I'll just add.
Yeah.
Before I come across against pedestrians, no. So the subject is tall buildings. Right? I'm all up for barrier-free, people, pedestrian-friendly, social spaces, everything done. But our city is a poor city. We are not like a rich city. We'll earn first and then give it back to the city. So the city is right now earning. What would happen to the podiums tomorrow? I don't know. As architects, probably we'll turn them into studios, we'll turn them into office spaces, we'll turn them into event spaces. I don't know what we'll do. What would we do with the basements once we have the urban transport, which is more? We'll turn them into water tanks. We'll conserve all water. So I think all can be done. But I think what Mumbai is trying to do right now is a Manhattan of 1930, wherein or 1920. I'll go back a little back. The Great Gatsby movie. Everything is building, and we are in a state of chaos. So I think future is here, but it's not equally distributed.
Something. If you go to US or you talk about LEED, what they're teaching you right now, recycle and reuse. I belong to a generation, I've used my brother's book. So, who is teaching us? Do we need to go back to the roots? That's what the learning is.
Yes. Just one, because he said poor city, I'm saying gone are those days. Nishant, you must be knowing, Rahul is sitting here because you know that because there are a couple of buildings where below 50 crore, flat is not available. And it is now going up to 100, 150, 250, 300 crore. We are not talking the whole building. Half a floor, one flat. So I think we are very rich that way. Only what we need is that discipline. I think I'm happy that people like Larry sir यहाँ पर बैठे हैं, sir आप लोग really because discipline point of view, because I felt so good because आपका presentation, but then poor guys, how is going to implement?
So true.
Difficult हो जाएगा sir आपको करते. So some sort of discipline, because across the board I think everybody feels, and I'm sure because we must bring this message out of this that yes, let's talk about some discipline and we'll go as much tall हमको जाना है.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, I have found one key aspect: an integrated approach is missing, because there are 10 different bodies giving 10 different approvals, but no one cohesively put them together. That if one high-rise building is coming, what will happen to the traffic density below that? How many cars will add? Because people take individual approval as a hurdle. चलो आज MOF हो गया, आज high-rise हो गया. But there is no body who is taking holistically into consideration that 5 high-rises are coming. How my city is going to behave after 5 years? This zone. So that kind of integrated professional body, if they can support the developer and contractors to visualize their vision.
Fantastic.
To make Mumbai
fantastic. I think where we started from tactical points to more like a forum, which collectively we need to document it, and that becomes a roadmap for the entire 100% fully 360-degree development, which supports the entire iconic structure through tall buildings. So fantastic. A round of applause for the entire panelists. I wish I had some half an hour more to question there, but I leave it to the audience if they have any questions. Yes.
Can we have the mic there, please?
Yeah, mic, please. If you can introduce yourself and ask the question, please.
I guess.
Shreya, how off we are on time?
We have 5 minutes on
5
us. We'll
minutes.
take 2 to 3 questions
Fantastic.
at max. We'll keep answers very articulate.
Thanks.
Hello everyone. I'm Purvi from Arkibim Consultants. I'm the founder, and this is more about the innovation side and in conjunction to what Mr. Rahul had asked. So we saw, what contractors and how the structural engineers are coming up with, integrating AI with their work. I just wanted to ask the architects, what has been your process of, how you have used the convention way and how you have come down till today in, using the tools or maybe getting the sustainability policies into your design. So what's is there a kind of a workflow change that you have experienced?
If you ask me, we are still working on it. But the kind of a work, the best tool is your developer and your marketing team and their brief. And AI cannot match the kind of a speed with which we are supposed to respond to both of them. So the tool first has to come who can respond with that pace. But lighter note apart, still there is a lot of, because the prompting is another way which you have to learn. And that prompting you have to first learn. Otherwise you will be another Abhimanyu getting into Chakravyuha and you don't know how to get out of it. So once you get accumulated with the prompting, then probably we'll get the right kind of results. But right now the market is also volatile for the developers as well as the marketing team. And we have developed ourselves like an AI tool ourselves.
It's a human AI.
So, I'll just add to her that what she said. I think you have to ask the right question.
Yes.
And unless you ask the right question, you cannot get the right answer. So AI is another tool that is going to help you answer the question you are going to ask. But I think we are again in our industry, we are at that evolving stage. So where it's a little volatile right now, but I think 2-3 years down the line, I think it will be very, very powerful. And
there is one more secret. Don't give them a tool where they don't need you.
So if I may just add one point, I feel design can be technology driven, cannot supersede the design. The technology cannot supersede the design. It's my personal opinion, because design is something which is the first line which you draw, And while you draw that line, and when any architect draws that line, he or she thinks a lot. There is so much which goes into it as a thinking. And then the tools which are there, they scientifically prove that, yes, this design is tangible. See, I think we are nowadays using a lot of simulations. It just backs and ensures that, yes, you're moving in the right direction, because it offers you a technical data. And the data is supportive. And that's how you move. Thomas's presentation had a lot of numbers. There's a small line written at the back. It is only possible if you follow it from day one. There's a thin line. Right, Thomas? Yeah, I spotted that. That's what it is.
Fantastic.
I think that is what you need to follow as a practice. And it's more like it gets into your muscle memory. You start thinking like that. And then as you move ahead, all these projects are like 48, 60 months. The technology will change when you're at 2.5 years, half stage of the project. There are certain decisions you may want to revisit. As in, they would want to revisit, maybe we'll stop them. Because it's eventually the funds and a lot of things which is getting engaged into the project. There are a lot of things which are at stake. The client also needs to see, as in the buyer needs to see what stage is the project is. Seeing is believing. The progress is very important. The one question which you ask about technology, we need to see that how quickly the building comes out of the basement. The people say, abhi tak khadde mein hi hai. So, you use different kind of formworks, you use jump forms, you click-clacks, so core goes much higher. Core gets completed, you can start your elevator work. And the petals, that is the flats which keep following up. So that is something where you make use of the technology and the simulation, it actually becomes an inclusive design. That's what I
Fantastic.
I thought we could take 3 questions, but we got 3 answers. So
3 answers. Sorry, but probably we'll accommodate one last question.
We'll take one last question, and for the rest of you, they're going to be staying with us. My request, please stay back for a while so that you all can take the other questions as well off stage.
As an offline, yeah, absolutely. Yes, please.
So we'll take this last question.
Hello, this is Sushil over here from Rashi Clever Interior Design. Very insightful session and really insightful, I will take. Everyone has given a real good insight. The project what we were talking about was JD. I have heard about it and I've seen also very closely about that. My question is, recently Hiten Shetty has developed in Ulve in 96 days the entire 12 storage building and 6 storage building in 46 days. With the precast structure, the buildings with the governance of CITCO and this one. How far we as an architect and a designer with all developers can convince to the governance so the investor and the buyers can really sleep in a very good sleep. That's my question.
I would like to answer this. You're talking about precast.
Right? Precast structure.
Precast is a very, very good
with
technology.
the robust mark.
Yeah, precast is a very good technology. As a matter of fact, apart from precast, we also have manufacturing buildings. You know that in Goa airport, if you see one portion has been done by manufacturing PAB. Yeah, the whole floor is manufactured. It is brought on the side and it is installed. But all of this, the challenge is that we need space. We need space for the logistics. Unfortunately, in Mumbai, if you are talking about Mumbai, if we don't have space, then we are already short of space for storing materials. So when huge girders of PEB sections or such engineering material comes, then it becomes a challenge for us to transport the material at the site and place it back to the point of use.
So same thing has been suffered by in Manhattan and other cities also where high-rise are going around. So my point was precast structures is a new thing or we are going with the old thing itself. Precast structure which has been developed right now.
Precast has been there for ages.
But
yes.
Yeah,
the way we use, I think it is evolving. How the joints are, that is evolving from one manufacturer to the other manufacturer. It is differing. Shirke does wet, L&T does dry. So all these are different ways. And by the way, that project was designed by Hafiz contractor.
And PMC was done by Tata.
PMC was Hiten Shetty, not done by Hiten Shetty. All right.
Just to add on to this, we did 30-story precast already in Vadala.
lovely.
with Larsen and Toubro.
That's a SRA scheme, but it comes with a certain amount of baggage of detailing. And that detailing, and then after occupancy, the life cycle analysis, all these things. See, you can construct today. What is going to happen after 50 years? That needs to be analyzed, and those sort of details needs to be evolved.
Very true.
The technology is there. How you are implementing, and the way in which it is implemented, that's how the longevity is going to happen.
True.
So that's how we have to look at every system. And again, the user group, how they are going to maintain. If I'm designing something for luxury and if I'm designing for affordable housing, how I'm making affordable for them to maintain in a longer run, that is also decision making. It's not only about the speed.
Fair enough.
Superb. Thank you.
One more point I had.
One shot, one.
See,
one
we
shot.
were talking about basements, podiums. Invariably, in spite of we are having all technology like jump form, we have slip form, all these forms are there, but we have to use the conventional system when it comes to the basements, because we are talking about seriously deep basements where there is a critical waterproofing that has to be undertaken. So that particular time that is saved in erection of the upper floors is actually taken by the substructure.
Superb. Thank you.
Yeah, last.
Okay. Okay.
Nishant, please,
I just
let's
want to
conclude
break.
this.
You can conclude. I just want to break a myth about precast and affordable. You know, in Singapore, your luxury housing is also getting done in precast.
Absolutely.
The problem is the developers.
Mindset.
Because no. Because the brief sale, it is all driven by sales. And they are not, wrong in doing. Ultimately, they are, have to sell it in the market. Affordable is, the area and you're going to do a mass repetition. But in this, you don't know the market is volatile. Today you have to do this, tomorrow you have to do this. In precast, you have to pre-engineer, you have to pre-design, you have to...
Got it.
So
Architect Nishant subtly gave room for more discussion.
Absolutely.
So clarity on day one. When you use any system, I think Sir mentioned, I will even go one step ahead, use tunnel form work. But then I have to tell them that it's going to get built, the construction method is going to be tunnel form work, so they have to conceive the plan, because if the tunnel goes inside, it has to come out. You can't have walls at a right angle. So it's a thought process. And the thought process needs to be clear, because there's certain things you won't be able to revisit. Otherwise, you're gone. You're not going to make business out of it.
I think you must be super happy with the kind of so many answers which you got.
No,
it's
I
like
think,
a free advice.
Rahul, I think we also got a feel of what happens on the drawing board.
Absolutely.
When the stakeholders come together to plan a project.
But thank you very much. I think it's a wonderful panel. 2 takeaways for me. Number 1 is that there needs to be a forum which is a voice of the architects and this panel to be heard collectively with the government, so that there is a win-win situation happens for the city level. And I just love when Nishant said that we will beat the skyline internationally within 15 years. So wishing us all the best, and thank you very much, Riyal.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I just want to add, we just closed our lines, but we are having Asia Regional Conference of City BUH, which is happening on 11th and 12th of December. We have got 650 registration, and across globe speakers are coming. I think many of you must have already registered. So that's where we are having 2 city advocacy forums, and we are going to discuss all these brainstorming topics. So I'll see you on other City BH events which are happening every month at the local level in India chapter.
Fantastic.
So see you all.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.